Support for Love Wrestling is brought to you by MANSCAPED, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. MANSCAPED offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. MANSCAPED earlier this year launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, so join the over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer from us at Love Wrestling. Use your promo code LOVEWRESTLING at manscaped.com. We'll give you 20% off your order. You'll get free worldwide shipping. How cool is that? Manscaped.com, promo code Love Wrestling. Your balls will thank you. And with that, the bills are paid, the lights are on. Welcome to the wrestling show that's not just for wrestling fans. This is Smark Friends on lovewrestling.ca. My name is Zach, and I'll be your host. Joining me today is the Wordsmith, the prodigal son of Love Wrestling, returning, bringing poetry of a promo back to our brand. Happy to have him back, and he's joining me to help me review the Druids Hand, a short horror film from Canada, starring Mitch Clark, the current LPW Challenge champion. We'll be back with that review right after this. And we're back. Joining me today, the one and only, he is returning to Love Wrestling, bringing poetry of a promo back to serenade us over the airwaves. He is the one, he is the only, the Wordsmith. Wordsmith, thank you very much for gracing Smark Friends podcast with your presence today.
Oh, you are most welcome. And not only am I bringing the show back, I am bringing dignity, class, and intellectual superiority back to lovewrestling.ca.
It's true. We were lacking in pretty much all those, all that criteria.
I mean, sketchy individuals like Pluggo running around, I can only do so much.
I mean, you know, your efforts are worthwhile, man. We appreciate what you do around here. You're doing your absolute best, and we thank you for you know, fighting the good fight, as it were.
It's a losing battle, but I fight on.
We're recording this on Sunday, but we're going to air on Friday, which means by the time people listen to this / watch this, the first episode of Poetry of a Promo will have returned. So, how do you? What are you hoping for? What are your hopes and expectations with this new venture towards this new chapter of Poetry of a Promo?
Well, world domination would be the first expectation.
And however, you're going to get world domination through reciting wrestling promos as spoken word poetry?
Yes. It's okay. Tell me otherwise.
Pardon my intrusion.
Provide evidence why it won't happen.
I pardon my intrusion, sir. I did not mean to jump the gun. Don't mean to doubt you. I just wanted to be clear about things.
However, the gun has been jumped, and so has the shark. And if you do not cease to interrupt me, you know what will happen, Zach? Do you know what will happen? I'll explain to you what's going to happen. I'm not going to say today. I'm not going to say next week. But eventually, you will get a taste.
That is a good segue.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I do see where you're going with this. Well done. Perfect sequitur, actually.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I you know, you said we jumped the shark, and it only took us 99 episodes of Smark Friends to get here. So, you know, that's we got that going for us.
Jumping right over it.
Now, Wordsmith, before we talk about like what the bulk of this episode will be about, I do want to ask you, because you and I did something pretty interesting today, didn't we?
Oh, yes, I have actually met my new best friend. He doesn't know it yet, but we are kindred spirits, if you will. We met the one, the only, the very nice, from my personal experience, and yet I have seen him be very evil. We met the incomparable Dan Housen today.
We certainly did. It was great to meet Danhausen at Crossover Comics in St. Henry of Montreal. Absolute gentleman. You know, tolerated people like my guest at this time.
I must be quite honest. I was starstruck and quite honest, evil struck, because when you're in the presence of pure evil and pure niceness, what can you do? Even I am speechless.
Evil struck. I love that. I think that should be on a shirt. Once again, go ahead.
Put it on a shirt. Why not? Give me $50 million while you're at it. Why not?
As long as Danhausen gets a blimp. Once again, shout out to Crossover Comics for putting together an awesome signing. Absolute blast. And thank you very much, Danhausen, for your time with us this afternoon. Now, earlier than today, a few weeks back, in fact, we went to Requiem Fear Fest in Montreal down at Ruby Foo's Hotel. Yeah, really great horror con, if you will. Lots of great vendors, lots of great artwork being showcased, and of course, lots of screenings, which is going to bring us to the larger point of this episode, of course. But you know, what do you think? Did you have any thoughts? I know we're a few weeks removed, so like, you know, we will forgive you if your memory has been lapsed under, you know, time and whatever else you addle your mind with. But if you have any takeaways from the Fear Fest,
well, the vapid thing that is inside my brain, known as memories, are so completely tied up with other things. I will say, I do enjoy a good convention.
Who doesn't?
Every now and again, and I do enjoy horror type things. I don't like them happening to me because, well, more on that later. No, I am fascinated by people that participate in these things, people that dress up. I don't understand people that like to wear disguises. It's questionable, must say, questionable.
Absolutely questionable.
Absolutely questionable. My point on a larger scale would have to be, love conventions, love the energy, because when you're passionate about something and you're in a group of people, the energy in all of those rooms is palpable, to use a term properly, which I do sometimes. I loved it. Fantastic time. Some of the stuff really got under my skin, but that's what the genre is for.
Indeed. I mean, there was one vendor, please excuse me, I missed the name, but we're going to like throw some photos up on the screen as provided by Facebook on Requiem. Yeah, there's one like family, and their daughter like kind of does like these photo shoots mocking up these horror films, and like they're really great photos. I mean, if I walked into the con with like a little more money, I would have like had a field day. As it was, I got a really awesome Stranger Things beanie cap that I'm very happy with. But again, lots of great figurines, lots of great artwork, books, but yeah, and also on top of all those great vendors and posters and all that galore and gore, there was of course film screenings, and that brought us to see The Druids Hand, a short Canadian film, and again featuring past guests of this show, the director Mitch Oliver and the star, a current LPW Challenge champion, a former UFC fighter, pro wrestler Mitch Clark, in The Druids Hand. Druids Hand, dude. What a film, huh?
Yes, quite the cinematic experience. It went places. It's always a gamble when you walk into these situations, because it could be really good. In this case, I quite enjoyed it. But
I was gonna say, where are you going with this?
It can be good, and it can be. We've all had that con experience where you walk into a room and it's like, yes, this is lovely, this is great, and then the film starts and it's, my God, get me out of here as quickly as possible. But no, this was not this way, because it was, I believe it's 12 minutes, less than 15. I can remember it, so you know it was short. It kept me guessing, and it was good. It was actually pure and told a story. So yes, very good experience. That's out of like 6 of these screenings that I've seen, and it's good, I think.
Now, again, I won't speak to your own experience, but like we're talking about seeing a film weeks ago, and it was only our first time really able to watch it. I was really hoping that it would kind of be on circuit, like they would play a couple short films and play them on loop in one of the screening rooms or another. But as it was, we were only able to enjoy The Druids Hand once. And so, again, our memory is removed, and when you enjoy a film as dense as the Druid's Hand is, even with how short it is, maybe our interpretation might be a little bit I don't know, hit or miss, so to speak. Like let's leave it at this way. Like it, either it's really layered and I'm missing a few things, or it's giving me just enough for like just enough blank space, blank canvas for my imagination to fill the blanks. This, I don't know. I'm pulling this out of my out of the ether here, but does that resonate with you perhaps?
Oh, it does.
I'm throwing you a hook and I need you to save me here.
I feel as if I hadn't just seen it the once, I feel upon multiple viewings it would probably have more meaning to it. Not that it doesn't, and we'll get into that in a few moments, but absolutely I would watch it again to understand the subtext of it, because there is a lot. You can tell that there is thought put into it, because you know these characters, but you just meet them for like a short period of time and you don't know who they are. So that's storytelling. That is the brilliance of film and short film at that, and that's well done. So on that note, yes, loved every second of that, but I would need more of it.
Yeah.
More viewings to understand, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I like all the best films, like they merit repeat viewing, and I think you get a little more each time you watch it. Like, just for example, like I'm not quite sure of like the timeline of this movie. Like there's some parts that look like they're, it looks a little Tarantino'd, the timeline, but that might be, I might be off entirely. But like that intro scene, you've got Cole, played by Mitch Clark. He's driving through. He's got the body in the back of the trunk, and he brings it to a scene that we see later on. So like we get and that's before the opening credits roll. So that's probably a little bit later in the linear narrative of the whole thing. But yeah. Before we get into the story, I suppose, let's talk about like the technical elements, because there were some really cool things going on for like, a short independent film. My favorite element is like, you know me, I respect CGI. I think that's like a tremendous field that a lot of people have to work very, very hard in to achieve the desired look. But I am a practical effects, like I'm enamored with practical effects. And the fact that like the resurrected witch or the druid, the occult specter of this movie,
the dark figure.
And was she ever dark? Crawling through the church, and doing a bit of body horror, bending her wrist. Like it was very dramatic how she's crawling down from the forgive my knowledge of church layouts, but like coming down from like the stage, so to speak. And again, just the way she was crawling, bending her wrists, it was just, it was so visceral, so cool looking. Loved it.
Yeah, really, really played on that aspect of this thing is not human, and you should be uncomfortable watching this, and you shouldn't know why. And I think that is a oft forgotten portion of horror films, because it's, let me tell you why it hurts to be stabbed. No, show me something that I haven't seen. It's, if you look at this compared to like a Saw film, for example, where it's, look, there's barbed wire and it's violent and it's this is just, no, this is something that's not human anymore, walking on snapped wrists. This hurts my eyes to see and makes me wonder why and what happened to you. So many questions.
Her whole design. Have you ever seen? I probably shared this movie with you, but Attack the Block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought. The eyes,
Yeah, like the very bright, very ivory eyes, and this very dark figure reminded me so much of the creatures of that. In that, of course, the druid, the witch. This is what I'm talking about leaving enough to the imagination for the audience to kind of fill in the blanks. But like whatever this occult specter creature thing was, left a very visceral impression with like the way her eyes jumped out of this hole, dark costume design. It was just like so well conceptualized. I gotta like shout out the costume designer or the artwork director on that one. Fantastic stuff.
100%. It is spooky season after all, and this very much fits that bill where it's spooky and uncomfortable.
I mean, I wanted to kick off October correctly for this month of Smark and Friends, and certainly a horror movie seemed like the way to go.
Seems logical. Yes.
Yeah. Of course, we want to delve into what makes this fit into my wrestling podcast. It's not just for wrestling fans. We want to talk all about Mitch Clark's performance, but there's one more technical element. I want to pick your brain specifically, Wordsmith, because you're a skilled sound technician in your own right. So, I want to know what you thought of the soundscape of the Druids Hand. Did I set the expectations too high?
No. I would say that
you're talented, man. You're talented.
I thank you, and the check is in the mail as usual.
Yes.
Didn't pay postage, so good luck.
He's my neighbor, by the way.
We'll see. Don't tell them where Castle Wordsmith is. It's anonymity.
They don't know where I live. I might be in the moat of Castle Wordsmith for all they know.
For all they know, you bloody well are.
I'm a stable boy. I feed the pigs, pig boy.
Oh my goodness. This will be cut. You marshmallow man, you. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay. You occasionally have to drop a William Regal flirting with Excalibur.
Oh, absolutely do. Man in the mask. How are you? Again, people who wear disguises cannot be trusted. Getting back on point. Sound. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And because they kept it quite simple at certain points, and near the end where the female antagonist, as I can say, for lack of a better word, I guess the druid, or if I'm making mistakes, I apologize, folks. I've seen this film once
weeks ago.
But with the thing that stuck out to me to now is the punching my microphone, apparently.
You know what we should be? I'm looking up on IMDb. We should be referring to her as Rose.
As Rose. Well,
yeah.
Rose was the fascinating thing about Rose, and the part that really struck me was the burning at the stake portion, for lack of a better term, of the film. And I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun on this as far as flow goes, but I do think that was the most interesting part of the sound design, because it went from her being innocent to, you don't have to do this, you know, it's fine. And then Satan comes out and is like, my hordes will entirely envelop the world, or something awful and spooky like that. And I loved it because as a sound designer, I love that. Let's go from here to over the top like that, and not give anybody any time to adjust, and just not let them sit. Let them just experience. This is what the devil would sound like if you were trying to, burn a corpse, for lack of better, terms. But the part that really spoke to me was during the burning. It reminded me almost of a very early Ghost album, which is quite weird, and I wasn't expecting it. And I just thought, my goodness, this would actually fit right into, and I apologize if I butcher the name, Infestissimum. It's that album is basically, giving birth to the Antichrist, and it fits this theme of this short film so well in that one little sequence that you could almost hear the opening track of that album coming on right after that burning happens. And it's just, what just happened? Sound design wise, it leaves more to the imagination, but I love it when they do that, because it makes you expand, and it makes you think, oh my God, what could happen next, without even actually seeing it or any visual cues. Mm-hmm. So that's well executed, in my opinion.
again, Mitch Oliver, director, him and his creative team did an absolute marvelous job bringing in the soundscape, the production design, the creature design, Rose's design, and marvelously directed a group of actors led, of course, by, we got to talk about him, ultra violence Mitch Clark. Yeah, dude,
pretty rad.
Super rad, if you will. Rads. There was lots of. Now I'm trying to come up with a way to make this grammatically correct, but I'm just struggling.
You won't. I've been trying for 5 minutes.
The whole time we were talking,
folks. Working up here. No,
but yeah, Mitch Clark takes the lead in this film. Again, like. Yeah, his first short film, which is pretty cool. He is, of course, the LPW Challenge champion and like a rising star in the Canadian independent wrestling scene, and as mentioned, a former UFC star. So again, he brought the physicality. He was a convincing tough guy. That is absolutely certain. I gotta give Mitch his props. That was an absolute fun. Is fun the right term when watching a horror film? But like a very wonderful performance.
Horror can be fun. I believe it can.
Certainly can be fun. Definitely enjoyed what Mitch was doing. Share with me your thoughts, Mr. Wordsmith.
It's Professor, Doctorate, Attorney at Law, Wordsmith, but that's my legal title, I suppose. My thoughts on Mitch Clark. I said that name correctly. I hope I did.
Dude, it's Mitch Clark. It's not like, it's not my real last name, I'm sorry. If you can't, you're the wordsmith. You must be able to pronounce the name.
I have never met this individual, but let me save the show for a moment. I have never met this individual. He seems like a rather neat, wink, wink, person. He did a neat little film, a neat little performance. It was quite rad, if I may.
Was.
And I and only the Canadian listeners will get this. It reminded me of if you took Squirrely Dan from Letterkenny, the very popular Canadian TV show. Look it up if you haven't seen it. Took away the sexual innuendo, because there's tons of it. Or maybe there's subtext. Maybe Mitch, tweet me if I'm wrong on this. Took away all of that and just made him am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yes.
Badass man doing what he needs to do. Why? We don't know. Maybe we do. I don't know. I've only seen it once. But he gets the job done.
Mm-hmm. Badass, yet. Yeah, that's it. Badass, but conflicted too, because he's
very
got a lot
conflicted.
He doesn't want to. Man, again, one of the most visceral parts of the movie when he drives the railroad spike through Rose's head there. Gruesome.
Can we talk about that next, because
let's. Let's talk about that next, because I do want to shout out a little bit more about Mitch's performance, certainly, because again, that's just like one of many moments in which he's just like, you can see the conflict he's having. He's doing what Peter tells him needs to be done. So I don't know how trustworthy this Peter character is. I'm sure
doing the Lord's work, which is
that's the road to hell. Something, good intentions.
Yes.
But again, he conveyed that conflict really well, not just in that railroad scene, but also when he was about to light the flamethrower and point it at Rose when she's on the stake. Oh, geez, of course. It wouldn't be a Smark Friends show if Ticket wasn't trying to knock over my microphone. You need to chill, cat. Another point of conflict, which was just really resonated, was, he was a singular focus when he's about to bring out that torch and light her up. And then she says something along the effect of my children will take over the world. And you see the fear in his eyes, and that gives him pause for just a second before he just starts carrying on with, what needs to be done. It's really great, great performance by Mitch Clark. Really captivating stuff.
And not like, the old, and this is a terrible example, but it's very much not so much spoken. It's more visual. And because he says I don't even remember if he says any words. Like I can't
No, it's all in the eyes. I remember
it's
that I
all in
remember
the
so
eyes.
clearly.
I'm
Crazy.
so glad that you brought that up, because the only other actor that I can think of, and this is mad props, because anybody that knows, did I say that properly? I don't know what the youths are saying these days. Is mad props still acceptable, or have I just gotten myself canceled? Who knows?
No, you're good.
This is Wordsmith giving mad props, so to speak. The only other actor in my personal experience watching and enjoying films, I have to compare him to a little bit of Tom Hardy, where there's not much said, but goodness, those eyes are saying monologues, and it conveys the emotion without having to actually say anything. So, yes.
From my acting days, I remember one of my acting textbooks. I'm not going to quote the actor in question because he's not a really great person, but I love the quote all the same. It's like, my favorite thing about acting is asking for the salt, but meaning I love you. Like, and you know, that's what he was doing with his eyes, not asking for the salt or telling anyone he loves them, but like, you know, there was just, it was so loaded, so charged. And again, like, of all the things that really jumped at me in this film, it was the look on Mitch Clark playing Cole's eyes when Rose like spoke those horrific words. But of course, the other visceral part of this movie that just stayed with me, and again, we just spoke about it a moment ago, the scene where, you know, Peter's telling Cole he's got to do what's got to be done, and just driving the railroad spike through her head. More great conflict shown by Mitch there. And again, you wanted to bring it up, so you have added it, sir.
I really, my first instinct when I saw this film, this is weeks ago, so you can tell that it actually stuck with me. And it'll make sense in a moment. I got a really almost Natural Born Killers vibe from that scene, but with a conscience, which changed everything about the way it was filmed, because it was jarring. It was very much snap, 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 snap. And this is what's happening, like almost handheld, if I can use that term loosely in this case.
Sure.
Like handheld cameras going back and forth and being like, what's happening? Why is there a railroad spike being driven into somebody's face? But for a reason, and there was conflict. And I just, the first thing I thought of was Natural Born Killers. I'm like, this is the moral version of, let's tie somebody up and do terrible things to them, but let's do that with a purpose.
Yeah.
Except not want to do it. So it was very, I liked the juxtaposition of it. If I've used that term incorrectly, I don't care.
No, I think it was good. I think that was good.
I enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought it was very, very well executed, and that it made you uncomfortable. And that is a theme in this short film. You didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to sit down and have, you know, some glossettes with this, because no, not that type of film, folks. Not
that type of film. Certainly, if you're squeamish, you don't want a snack of any kind in your near proximity. No. With that, I want to actually shout out the team behind the Druids Hand, because I learned this shortly before we went recording. The Druids Hand, I'm going to read their tweet verbatim here. We are honored to share that we have been awarded Best Canadian Short Film at this year's Requiem Fear Fest. So they won the award at the very festival we attended last month. Huge thanks to the team at Requiem and everyone who has helped us create and share this film with an audience, which of course includes the amazing people who contributed to the Kickstarter. Well done all around, and congratulations to Mitch Oliver, Mitch Clark, and the entire Druids Hand team. Amazing stuff.
Makes me love it even more. Now, can I see it again, please?
Well,
please.
I would very much like to see this again, but again, I've reached out to Mitch Oliver. When can we see this? But it's not going to be available for like the digital, the general public until early next year. Now, you know, if you're watching, you know, we're speaking from Montreal. So if you're watching this from somewhere else, please keep an ear to the ground to the film festivals in your area, because this short film continues to make the film festival circuit. So keep an ear to the ground. If you have a chance to see the Druids Hand, please take the time to do so. Go attend the film festival in question so you can check it out. But if you're waiting till early next year, you are not alone. We are with you. We're gonna all watch it together. And again, once that film comes out digitally, I'm sure I'm gonna have to have another conversation with Mitch Oliver when that time rolls around. Wordsmith, please let the audience know where to follow you on all things social media.
If I could just insert one more thing.
Please do.
Ladies, gentlemen, and lizards alike, it's my hand touching your hand as we wait for the arrival of the Druids Hand. If you have a chance, see this movie. Actually, you know what? I'll say the inappropriate thing. See this godforsaken movie. It makes sense when you've seen it. Yes, go and see it. Zach, what was your question? I wasn't listening.
I mean, I'm amazed that that's the only part where you weren't listening to me.
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm happy to be here. That's the thing. Go ahead.
I'm inviting you to let the audience know where to follow you on all things social and where to check out the poetry of a promo.
Let me see. You can check out everything that I've done in the past, and also that menace that was Mr. J beforehand on lovewrestling.ca. Yes, he's in prison, and
he's in prison.
We threw away the box. Put him in a box, threw it away. Go away! He's gone. All this fucking time, I haven't cracked once. Oh my
god.
Give me a second.
Yep.
All right. And he's gone. You can now follow me at Castle Wordsmith on Twitter. And on Instagram, I managed to keep the handle of Poetry of a Promo. What happens on Instagram? I take pictures of things and I post it. What happens on Twitter? I give you my intellectual opinions. You can agree with them. You can disagree with them. I'll ignore it all the same. And that's me.
Wordsmith, I thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Hello, Love Wrestling community. It is Thursday night. It is 8 p.m. You all know what that means. It's another episode of Between Two Beards. See, we have a special guest with us tonight. He is Phil Lindsay. We have Astrid joining us, Mike Fish, Carl Carafel. It is Mr. Warren Hayes, Mitch Clark. We have the interview queen herself, one Alicia Atoot.
Welcome to the show, Billy.
Sam B. Alex Kane.
I am Holden Albright.
They forced me to say this.
It's Trent's mom, Sue.
You can find JPJ and Pluggo every Thursday night at 8 p.m. exclusively on twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca, where you never know who will show up, what will happen, and how bad the budget will be blown. Also remember to check out Between Two Beards on every major social media outlet, such as Twitter and TikTok at B2Beards and Between Two Beards on Facebook. See you there.
Additional support for Love Wrestling is brought to you by RK Athletics. If you're in the Edmonton area, Rich King is the person you want to speak to about your personal fitness goals. Start chasing your dreams with RK Athletics. Thanks so much for the Wordsmith for joining me for the review of the Druids Hand. And honestly, film fans, horror fans, keep an ear to the ground. If the Druids Hand is making the festival circuit in your town, please take the time to go check it out. It's an absolute great film. And please follow them at the Druids Hand on Instagram and on Twitter. If you like what you heard today, please head over to ratethis.podcast.com/lovewrestlingca. You're not going to be reviewing just Smark and Friends. You're going to be reviewing all the content being built very proudly here at Love Wrestling. We're talking Between Two Beards, Sunday Brunch, Quizplex, all that great stuff. And of course, Poetry of a Promo with the returning Wordsmith. That was I was a little out of practice with that Poetry of a Promo, but I'm glad that he's back in our ranks and glad to have him as part of the team at lovewrestling.ca. Follow me, Smarkmouth on Twitter, Smark.mouth on Instagram, and Smark and Friends on Twitter as well. And of course, follow at lovewrestling.ca on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next week. Till then, friends.